Welcome to Beauty in Stories. This is a place where short, meaningful tales help us explore deep life lessons and the beauty of emotions. Each story is a journey for us to listen, reflect, and rediscover values that can often be overlooked in the busyness of life. Join us as we uncover inspiration, joy, and connection through these stories every day. And now, let's dive into today's story, Oliver's Vase, When Imperfection Reveals True Beauty. Once upon a time, in a small village by a clear, flowing river, there lived a skilled potter named Oliver. He was well known throughout the land for his talented hands and his deep passion for the art of pottery. Every day, Oliver worked quietly in his small workshop, carefully crafting beautiful clay vases, each one telling its own unique story. Oliver lived with his wife, Lily, a gentle and understanding woman who always encouraged him to follow his passion. She was the only one who fully understood the ups and downs of his creative journey. They had a daughter named Emily, who was not only their pride but also Oliver's greatest source of inspiration. Emily was smart, sensitive, and had a sharp artistic eye. She often helped her father choose glazes, design patterns, and added her own fresh, creative touches to his works. Among all the vases Oliver was working on, there was one that Emily particularly loved. Every day, she would gaze at it, dreaming of the day it would be finished and become a masterpiece. She would often say to her father, "Dad, this vase isn't just a piece of pottery. It's a part of your soul." One afternoon, while Oliver was hard at work, Emily came rushing into the workshop, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Dad, I just had a brilliant idea. Why don't we add some traditional designs to this vase? It'll make it truly one of a kind." Oliver smiled at his daughter but felt a pang of worry. He loved her creativity, but he was afraid that making changes might spoil the vase's perfection. Still, Oliver was determined to create the best vase of his life. He spent weeks carefully designing intricate patterns, inspired by nature and the peaceful life in the village. When the vase was finally complete, Oliver was sure it was his finest work. But when he took it out of the kiln, his heart sank. A small crack ran along the side of the vase. Oliver stared at the crack, feeling a wave of disappointment. He had put so much effort, so much care into this piece, and yet this tiny flaw seemed to ruin everything. He was lost in thought. But Lily, sensing her husband's sadness, gently said, "We all have our cracks. But that doesn't make us any less valuable. Maybe this crack is part of the vase's story." In the days that followed, Oliver couldn't stop thinking about the cracked vase. He placed it in a corner of the workshop, avoiding it, as though it had become a painful reminder of his failure. Although he continued to make new, flawless vases, the image of the cracked one weighed on him. It became a quiet, persistent shadow over his heart. Then one day, after a heavy rainstorm, water began to seep into the workshop. The rainwater dripped through the crack in the vase and onto the soil below. What Oliver didn't realize was that the seeds he had scattered around the workshop earlier that season were soaking up the water from the vase. The next morning, after the rainstorm had passed, Oliver stepped outside and was astonished to see tiny flowers blooming all around the cracked vase. These vibrant, colorful blooms stood tall in the sunlight, like a little miracle. Emily ran over, her voice filled with excitement. "Dad, look! The crack in your vase watered these flowers. It created a beautiful little garden." Oliver stood in awe, realizing the truth. The vase, despite its flaw, had still served a purpose. The crack, which he had once seen as a flaw, had now become the reason for something beautiful. The flowers blooming around it were proof of that. A wave of joy and relief filled his heart. And Oliver decided to keep the cracked vase, placing it in the most honored spot in his workshop, where everyone could see it. News of the blooming flowers around the cracked vase quickly spread throughout the village. People came from all over, not just to admire the flowers, but to hear the incredible story behind what they thought was a useless vase. Visitors from neighboring villages also came, curious and amazed, recognizing the profound lesson from this experience. Oliver decided to host a small festival at his workshop to celebrate the cracked vase and the flowers it had helped grow. He invited everyone who had come to see the vase to join the celebration. At the festival, Oliver shared the story of the vase, explaining how the crack, rather than diminishing its value, had led to something unexpectedly beautiful. The crowd listened intently, and soon, people began sharing their own stories of imperfections in life. From that day on, the cracked vase became a symbol in the village, a reminder that not everything in life needs to be perfect. Sometimes, it's the cracks and flaws that help us discover hidden beauty and opportunities we never imagined. Thank you for joining Beauty in Stories for today's tale. I hope these moments brought you some meaningful insights and inspiration. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss any upcoming stories. See you in the next one.
Goodbye!